know we usually do separate candidate forums, but these elected officials are so busy, we decided, you know what, let's bring it all into one to give them available time to go around to all the different clubs and groups. And so I know we're squeezed in here tonight, but there's a treat for you. You're going to get to know each of these candidates, and we're just very happy that you all are here today. Before I start introducing our current elected officials, if Group 1 will go ahead and come up here and make your way to get ready along with your placards and get seated, we would appreciate that. We're going to try to move this along as quickly as possible out of respect for everyone's time. We know it's a weeknight and everybody's probably got to get up and go to work tomorrow. We're not going to introduce all of the candidates tonight because they're going to be here to introduce themselves way better than I can. We also want to congratulate all the unopposed candidates, and there's a list of them up here, so congratulations to all the unopposed candidates. Now I'm going to introduce all of our elected officials that are currently here tonight. First, County Judge Mark Keogh. If you'll stand up, wave your hand when I call your name.
Welcome. My name is Sharon Lee, President of Lake Conroe Area Republican Women, and I want to thank you for being here tonight and for braving the cold weather. Proof that nothing can stop dedicated Republican voters, not even Texas pretending to be the Arctic. Our clubs, Lake Conroe Area Republican Women, Liberty Bells Republican Women, and North Shore Republican Women are delighted to have you here with us tonight. Our organizations work year-round to promote informed voters, strong conservative principles, and active civic participation. And tonight's forum is a wonderful example of that commitment. Candidate forums like this are an important part of the election process. They give voters the opportunity to hear directly from those seeking office to better understand their priorities and to compare ideas in a respectful, structured setting. Tonight we are focused on state and local races, where the decisions made by those elected have a direct and meaningful impact on our county and on our daily lives.
Good evening. My name is Jane Williamson, and I'm the president of Liberty Bells Republican Women. We sincerely thank our candidates for being here tonight. Running for office at any level requires time, energy, and personal commitment and sacrifice, and we appreciate each candidate's willingness to step forward, participate, and engage the voters this evening. A quick word about this forum. This is a forum, not a debate. Our goal is to inform voters, not to generate conflict. Candidates in specific races will be given equal time to speak and respond to questions, and we ask that everyone, candidates and audience members alike, remain respectful throughout the program. Personal attacks will not be a part of this discussion tonight. We also ask our audience to please hold the applause until the appropriate time so we can stay on schedule. Tonight's questions focus on the responsibilities of the office, the challenges facing our county, state, and the candidates' approaches to leadership and decision making. While no single forum can cover everything, we hope this forum gives you a clearer understanding of the candidates and helps you make the informed choice at the polls. Thank you for coming.
Well, hello everyone. It is so amazing to see a packed crowd with standing room only. I'm Tammy Coleman, and I'm the president of the North Shore Republican Women. And I am glad you are all here. To get all of you in this room tonight on this cold Texas night, it took a lot of work and a lot of hours. and a lot of volunteers and a lot of dedication from people from behind the scenes. And it happened because a lot of Republican Women Federated clubs worked together. 3 of us collaborated to do this. And we have a lot of Republican Women Federated in this audience, and I'd like all of you to stand up at this moment in time. All of you. There are forums happening all over this county because Republican women got together and made them happen for the candidates. So if you run into a Republican woman, be sure you thank them. If tonight inspires you and gets you to want to join or attend one of our meetings, they're happening all over the county. And I encourage you to come and join a meeting. Because you know what? We will welcome you with open arms. Because we'd love to have you. We have amazing speakers. We share ideas, we collaborate, and we grow together. We grow the Republican Party together. So come and attend a meeting. We have tables on this side of the room, over here, with all of our membership information and all of our meeting information. So please stop by. Most of all, besides thanking all the Republican women, I'd like to thank you in the audience for taking the time to get in your cars on your busy days with working and all the things that are going on to be here tonight, to listen to the candidates because you know your vote matters. And you want to hear what they have to say because you value Montgomery County and Texas and keeping it red. So thank you for being here. Plan to get out and vote. Plan to get out and vote early. When you sit down on your chairs, I hope you didn't sit on them, and if you did, stand up and look under them. You have a handout that gives you information that you can write down, sort of a score sheet to say, but that you know that you can write any information you need to help you make your decisions, and you can also take that to the polls, and I've been told you can take it right in with you. So that is your guide, so be sure you use that. We have some important people up front here besides the candidates. We have some people that are going to keep us on time. Julie Fauble. Jeanette Stanton. They're our moderators for this evening, so pay attention to them. We also have a timekeeper because nobody can speak longer than the timekeeper says. And that's Dorothy Woodall, and she will keep us on time. As everyone has stated before, remember, all of these candidates have agreed to follow the rules and the guidelines set for all of them. Right, you've all agreed to follow the rules? Speak now or forever hold your peace. So has the audience. So let's have an amazing night tonight. And who in this room is ready to get this party started?
Thank you, Tammy. Good evening. I am Julie Fauble, along with Jeanette Stanton. We will be the moderators for tonight. The candidates are grouped according to the offices they are running for, and we have divided them into 3 groups. The format tonight consists of a brief description of the office, the name of all the candidates, and questions we suggested they discuss in their remarks. Each candidate will come to the podium to speak in ballot order. Candidates will have a set amount of time to answer. They may speak about other issues they feel important, and of course, there's not enough time to answer all questions. So let's begin. Our first race of the evening is Controller of Public Accounts. The Texas Controller is the state's chief financial officer who collects taxes, manages state funds, and determines how much money the legislature can spend. The Controller chairs the state's Treasury Safekeeping Trust, which invests and manages more than $150 billion in state assets. The candidates on the ballot are Don Huffines, Kelly Hancock, Michael Berlanga, and Christy Craddock. Mr. Hancock, we'll start with you.
You want to get us going on time? Ready? All right, perfect. Well, let me start using a little bit of my time to thank you ladies for putting this on. It is a wonderful crowd. And those of us traveling the state like showing up to a crowd like this. And it's not often that you see clubs willing to work together the way y'all obviously have to pull this off. So thank you very, very much. I know that wasn't easy, and thank y'all for attending tonight. That is the job I currently have. And so, but before we get into discussing this, let me start with the family, because that is what is most important to me, my family and my faith. My wife, Robin, is at home. We were high school sweethearts. We dated for 6 years, got married after graduating from Baylor. 3 kids. We will have grandchild 7 and grandchild 8 this coming year, 7 in March, the other one in August. And so, which is why I originally ran for office. I ran for office at the birth of our first child for a local school board where I served for 13 years. I'll go into the political a little bit, but how did I get here? Why am I currently the chief financial officer for the state? Well, that's because Greg Abbott happens to be one of my friends. And I was in the Texas Senate, where I'd served for 13 years before being in the House for 6 years and being on local school board for 13. And with Glenn Hager being selected as the chancellor for Texas A&M, the Governor Abbott, happens every time, just they can't help themselves. I've got 4 of them. So he asked me if I would be willing to step down from my Senate seat and move over to the comptroller's office and run the comptroller's office. God had blessed us very, very much in many ways that I was able to do that. I actually worked for a large corporation. I left in 2004, started my own business. I bought out my partner 7 years ago. My last payment on that buyout was July. I took over as comptroller of the state of Texas on July 1. No coincidences when you believe in no coincidences. Worked out fine. My wife and I are in a good position financially because I'm at the core very, very conservative. Plus, I had a very, very rare kidney disease that I couldn't get life insurance. So we lived without debt. We paid cash for our homes and moved on. And I did have a kidney transplant 4 years ago, so I'm good. I got 3. My son-in-law actually gave me one of his, which is no coincidence as well that he was the best match. So what have we done in that office? And that's what I really think separates us, is since that office, and Governor Abbott said in an event we had together last month, is you've accomplished more in 6 months than most people accomplish in years in agencies. I got there, and immediately we had a litigation going on over our historically underutilized businesses, a DEI-based program. It is purely race and gender driven. We immediately went to reform that, to get rid of the discriminatory practices within it, the race and discrimination, the DEI concepts, and we got rid of that. My first month there, we signed off on a new financial system. We launched the largest school choice program in the nation and protected your tax dollars to make sure they don't go to organizations connected with China or terrorist activity. Something the Attorney General confirmed that we do have the authority to do that. And so I've loved the job way more than I ever thought I would, but we're continuing to look out for you. And I thank you for that opportunity.
Good evening. So it's nice to see so many friends, and new and old, and thank you Republican women for coming together Technical difficulties. How about that? All right. Good evening. It's so nice to see so many friends, new, and I have a lot of old friends, so thank you all. Thank you, Republican women, for putting this together, and thank you all for coming out. It's nice to see you all. My name is Christy Craddock, and I'm running for comptroller because Texans deserve a government that works for them, not against them. So I'm a Christian, a mother of a 14-year-old daughter. Y'all pray for me every day. A conservative and a fighter for Texas values. I grew up in a conservative West Texas family, and Republican politics have been part of my life since birth. I went to my first Republican state convention when I was 12, and so those roots run really deep, and I've never wavered in my conservative principles. For the last 12 years, almost 13, those of you who have been in this room and voted have trusted me. I've been elected 3 times to be your railroad commissioner. That's why you know my name. There I've spent every single day overseeing our robust energy economy, which is 1/3 of the state's economy, defending private property rights, and pushing back against federal overreach coming out of Washington, D.C. Look, I have no problem telling people no, whether it's Washington, D.C., or whether it's people in the legislature telling them we don't have enough money to spend. That's important, I think, for this job. And look, we didn't allow Washington, D.C. It didn't happen because we allowed the growth in this state. It happened because Texas has led. That leadership brings jobs, economic growth, and billions in revenue that support our schools, our roads, and border security. That experience is why I'm running for comptroller. Look, the Texas Comptroller isn't just an accounting office. It's the financial nerve center of the government. It's Texas CFO, Chief Financial Officer. The Comptroller certifies the state budget, manages revenue, oversees tax collections, and serves as one of the strongest checks on runaway government spending. So I look forward to working with the legislature and with local governments to cut our taxes. Particularly, we're all concerned about property taxes. Look, real numbers count. And I want to ensure that we hold governments accountable. That's part of this job. At the Railroad Commission, I've helped run a major state agency on a very tight budget. We're fee-based as an agency. We watch our dollars every single day. And through that, we've modernized outdated systems, improved transparency, and dramatically increased our efficiencies. In fact, we cut permitting times down from months to just days. Proof that conservative leadership works. Thank you all for having me. I look forward to getting to know all of you, and thank you for your vote.
The next group of candidates is for Railroad Commissioner. The Railroad Commission of Texas was created in 1891 to regulate the private railroads that were spreading across Texas. But today it has nothing to do with railroads. The 3-member commission regulates the oil and gas industry, keeping energy production safe, fair, and responsible. The election of commissioners is staggered, with one commissioner running for office every 2 years. The candidates are Jim Matlock, Jim Wright, Hawk Dunlap, Catherine Colbert, and Beau French. This first speaker we have tonight is Mr. Dunlap.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Hawk Dunlap. Can you hear me? Thank you for having me here. It's great to be back on this side of the state, having traversed all the way over from West Texas this morning. I am a 6th-generation Texan, a 4th generation in the oil and gas business. I grew up in Longview. I went to Stephen F. Austin State University, graduated Action Jack. I started working in the oil field in 1991 as a summer job to help pay for school. I started driving vacuum trucks at night during the semester and go to school during the day. Come June, I'll have 35 years in the oil and gas industry. I've worked in every major oil field in the world. I lived and worked overseas for 27 years, and I returned back to Texas in November of 21. Since that time, I've been helping landowners fight oil companies for their leaking wells. On one particular ranch, a 22,000 acre ranch, we've excavated 150 plug wells. All of them were leaking. The landowner sued the company, among other companies, and they just settled as late as last year. Our groundwater in Texas is under threat by commercialization, by contamination, from idle wells, from orphan wells, and from improperly plugged wells. I want to work with TCEQ and the local water district to do a better job of protecting our groundwater. I am afraid if we do not turn the corner and we don't start doing a better job of retiring our assets and holding operators accountable, that Washington is going to want to put their nose in our business. And I can't allow that to happen. They don't have as much sense as we do, and they need to stay out of this space. Like I said, I think I'm the most qualified candidate for this job. You can see me now in starch jeans, but normally I do better in bib overalls and coveralls and apparel covered up at Between Boots. I would appreciate it if you have a look at my website, hawk4texas.com. There's some articles on there for Reuters, Bloomberg, Houston Chronicle. You can kind of get caught up on what I've been doing for the last 4 years. Some of my notes there, kind of a newsletter. I'd like for you to get to know me better, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Hulbert, and I'm running to be your next Railroad Commissioner here in Texas. A little about me. I live in Houston, where I work in oil and gas. I am a process safety engineer, which means I spend my days making sure my company is following the rules that we have so that all of our workers go home safely at the end of their shift and that all of our communities are protected. That is what I have built my career on. I have been doing process safety for over 25 years, and I am excited to be able to expand that to the entire state of Texas. When we're looking at the questions we were given tonight, as far as the federal government and their reach here into Texas, remember that we lead the nation in oil and gas production, which means a lot of the regulations started here. The EPA takes a lot of input from industry, and so we have an outsized voice already. Talking with many people in industry, many of the leaders there, they want a nice, steady platform. They want to know what they're dealing with so that they can plan for the future. So that involves, yes, agencies like the EPA having a set of rules that are enforced everywhere to give that equal playing field. And that means we need a railroad commission that is also going to enforce those rules equally with all of the companies across Texas, not giving an unfair advantage to companies that give campaign donations and things like that. As far as water goes, as Hawk said, yes, water is so important. It is, we all know, we've seen all the news reports how we're going to run out of water here in Texas. So we need to be more creative. We need industry to help. They, these big oil and gas companies have great research and development departments. Let's get them to help figure out how to deal with their own waste, pick up after themselves, right? We all learned that in kindergarten, to pick up after yourself. So let's have the companies do that and work with them to, again, level the playing field so that we can all have good drinkable water across the whole state. As I said, I am a process safety engineer. I'm a licensed chemical engineer, which means I have spent years and years studying and working in industry to get that certification. I am the only one in the race with a licensed professional engineering with a license. And on top of that, I also have a law degree. So that's important when we're dealing with regulations so that we can, A, know how things work in industry, and B, know how we can enforce those rules to make it fair for everyone. So again, my name is Catherine Culbert, and I look forward to your vote on March 3rd for Railroad Commissioner. Thank you.
Our next group of candidates are for the Court of Criminal Appeals. The Court of Criminal Appeals, based in Austin, is Texas' highest court for criminal cases. The court consists of a presiding judge and 8 judges. They are elected by the voters of the entire state and hold office for a term of 6 years. The court may choose whether or not to review cases, but it must hear those cases involving the sentencing of capital punishment. The candidates for place 3 are Thomas Smith, Brent Coffey, Leslie Fitzpatrick, and Allison Fox. Mr. Smith will be our first speaker.
Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me back there okay? All right. First, my name is Thomas Smith. I'm running for the Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. I want to thank the Republican women who have put on this wonderful event. You all are really the unsung heroes of the Republican Party. Republican women are the heartbeat of what makes this party go. And you deserve so much credit for getting so many people out here tonight. And I know that because the original Republican woman in my life, there were 2 actually, my grandmother, who would drag me around to Republican club meetings when I was not taller than this podium, and my mom, who was a public school teacher, and she was also a teenage mother at 15 and at 17. And notwithstanding that, she graduated from high school when she was 17. By the time she was 19, she had a bachelor's degree from Ohio University. By the time she was 20, she and my dad had 3 kids, and she was teaching school full-time. That's where my work ethic comes from. That's where I learned what it meant to have an opportunity in this country to build a life with great parents and a great country. And the reason that I'm running is because I think everybody in this room can appreciate the fact that we're all fearful now that we're losing those opportunities. And that's a problem. You know, my life was able to build an opportunity where I was invited to be the law clerk for the Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. And from there I went to Texas. I came to Texas. And I worked for Jones Day. It's a great law firm. Some great people work there. You may have heard of them. Antonin Scalia, Megyn Kelly, the presiding judge of this court, David Schenck. And I learned a lot there. But public service never left my heart. And eventually I came back to it and went to work for the most conservative law firm in Texas, the Texas Attorney General's office, where for the last 10 years we've been in the fight trying to save this country and protect our state. And I've been glad to do that. But one of the problems is we've seen that activist judges on rogue courts have been a problem. And this court has been part of that. One of the things about this court is that it's one of only 2 of its kind in the country, Texas and Oklahoma. And so you rarely hear about this court unless it does some crazy things, and unfortunately it has. It took away the authority of our office to prosecute election fraud, a power that the legislature just restored late last year, expressing its disagreement with that decision. It also threw out our state's online solicitation law against minor kids. The state of Texas went 18 months without any such law. I'll bet a lot of you in this room, if not most of you, did not know that. This is a court that needs change. You would think that our state's highest criminal court would have 9 constitutional conservatives on it. It does not. It's not because I'm telling you that, it's because the record shows that. I'm really worried about our country and our state, and I'm worried about our judiciary. We have to have solid, dependable conservatives on our courts at all levels, and it has to start now. Thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm here tonight. I drove in from Round Rock today. That's where I live. And I'm running for this office, and I'm here because I love my state. And I love my fellow Texans. I grew up in the Texas Panhandle, a small town called Pampa, close to Amarillo. You know where that is. I went to college. I love the Christian University. I played baseball there. Come from generations of farmers and ranchers. And I began my legal career in Bexar County, in San Antonio. And in 2021, I was recruited by the Attorney General's office to come prosecute election fraud and voter fraud cases in the Election Integrity Division. And I uprooted my whole life that I built in San Antonio because I believed in the work. I didn't have any friends in the Austin area, but I had a passion for it. And it's obviously been a hot button issue in our state for a number of reasons. And I believe that we need at least one judge on this court who's handled these types of cases. It's a very specialized area of the law that most lawyers have not handled. One thing that when I started my career in San Antonio, I didn't realize until I got there, was I would have to deal with illegal aliens on an almost regular basis. And I had to have a discussion with myself, how am I going to handle illegal aliens in our justice system? And I settled on this principle. I'm not going to give an illegal alien a special deal that I would not give my own fellow citizens. It was not my job to help them avoid deportation or to help them. I'm here to uphold the law as a prosecutor, and that's what I did. And that requires standing on principle. So we need principled prosecutors, we need principled judges, and sometimes doing the principled thing is not easy, so it requires standing firm when the hard times come. And it takes a lot of work traveling all over the state, you know, these statewide races. I see why a lot of people don't run for these statewide offices, but it gets exhausting. But I love my state. I would die for my state. And I hope that you vote for me. And thank you for your time. Oh, there's a few questions here. Having a Supreme Criminal Court, Court of Criminal Appeals that allows one court to focus on the criminal area of the law. We're a big state, so having a civil court and a criminal court is good with our population that we have. As far as the implementation of life without parole, a lot of these cases are not black and white. Life would be easy if everything was black and white, but there's always a gray area. The factual situations are different. So the jury having that option, life without parole or the death penalty, it's their choice. It's up to them. So I think that's good because everything, as I mentioned, is not clear cut. As far as some traits that I bring to this office, I was heavily influenced by Antonin Scalia and Judge Robert Bork. Those are my two, I guess, heroes over the years. And I did spend some time as a criminal defense attorney as well, so I know what it's like to be on both sides of the table. And when it comes to being a judge, you do have to listen to both sides and listen to what each side is telling you. And if someone has only been on one side their whole career, sometimes it might be hard to really listen to the other side because they never had to make the argument for the other side. So that is a balanced view that I will bring to the court. And regardless of what the case is,
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Fitzpatrick, and I want to be your next judge for the Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. And like my other people in this race, I want to thank you, Republican women. I've been involved, I've been a TFRW member for over 25 years. And so you are my Republican sisters. I know how difficult it is to put an event on like this, and thank you everyone for coming out. I'm a 5th generation Texan. I was born and raised in the Panhandle of Lubbock, Texas. Went to Parsons Elementary and Evans Junior High. Would have gone to Lubbock, Monterey, but we moved to Midland, Texas, and went to Midland Lee. It was Legacy for a little bit, but it's Lee again, thank you God. I went to the University of Texas Permian Basin. I lived in the Permian Basin for 25 years, and I absolutely adore the oil industry. I will tell you, I could have been an oil and gas lawyer. I made an A in oil and gas, but the volatility, that was just not where I felt like I was being led. My first job was a prosecutor in the county attorney's office in Odessa, but even before that, I interned at the First Court of Appeals while I was in law school in Houston. And my family's important to me too. My husband, Jimmy Fitzpatrick, is with me. I have a son that's 38 years old that I've raised, and he works for Dr. Pepper, which is amazing. But, yeah, there's a whole story there. But anyway, love that. But I love the law, and I love to have this opportunity to be your next judge. And I'll tell you, I spent 20 years in the courtroom prosecuting and defending the kinds of cases that come before this court. And because of that, I am the law and order judicial candidate in this race. I have been endorsed by the 2 largest police associations, the Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas, the Texas Municipal Police Association, the Houston Police Officers Union, the Houston Police Officers Organization of Spanish-Speaking Officers, which is the largest Spanish police officer association, the San Antonio Police Officer Association, the sheriffs in my hometown, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, Ector County, Tom Green, Denton, Williamson, Goliad, that's Roy Boyd for those who don't know that, and Galveston. So I am the law and order judicial candidate in this race. And I've also been endorsed by some legislators, and that's important. And I just got the endorsement of the C Club of Harris County, which that's fiscal responsibility, which I will bring that to this bench as well. I really appreciate the time that I've gotten to be in front of you today. I hope you will consider voting for me. Leslie Fitzpatrick, my website is www.leslieforjudge.com. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Fox, and I'm running for judge of the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. This is actually the biggest job interview I've ever done in my life. I mean, that's what this is, right? When we're running for office, you as the voters, this is your court. The Court of Criminal Appeals is your court. And so you are hiring one of us to be the next judge on this court. So the first thing that you do in a job interview is you talk about your qualifications. So I am from Seguin, Texas. I graduated 9th in my class of almost 600, but was the first girl to graduate. So first, that was a pretty big deal for me. I went to UT undergrad where I majored in both government and chemistry, which means I'm a super nerd. And so then I went to St. Mary's Law School, where I met my husband, Grady Dahlberg, and we've been married now almost 17 years. We have 5 children together. Grady and I have actually gone across Central Texas. Grady was not happy in his job. He felt he was practicing civil law, and he wanted to do something where he felt like he was making a difference with young people. So I actually just got finished putting him through an 8-year doctoral program. He is now a doctor in theology and spirituality. So now, since he has completed his degree, I'm now able to pursue my dream, which is becoming a judge on the court. My background is I was a DA and an assistant DA in Bexar County when I graduated. I was there and rose up to be a felony appellate prosecutor. I then got a job at the Court of Criminal Appeals, the very court that I am applying to be a judge on. I worked in central staff for 5 years in writ of habeas corpus section, where I helped work up over 2,000 writs for the judges on the court. I did that for 5 years. Then I went back to San Antonio, where I was appointed the director of the Conviction Integrity Unit in Bexar County. So for 3 years, it was my job to make sure that every single conviction that was obtained by the prosecutor, by the DA, by all the district's attorney, were constitutionally found and sound. This is important because many people, like it says up here, don't realize that there are two Supreme Courts. There's the criminal and the civil. Fortunately, I've never had to practice criminal law before. I've only done criminal law. I can't imagine doing civil law. I actually went in thinking I was going to do patent law, but decided I didn't like money, so did criminal law instead. But through my career, I found out that it's really important that we have a bifurcated system, because this allows for specializing. These judges need to know the law, and they need to know what they're doing. I have since been back at the Court of Criminal Appeals for 5 years as a staff attorney. I have personally filed dozens of briefs. I have argued in front of this court. I have practiced in front, and I have practiced within. I'm the only candidate that can say that. Therefore, when I think about the death penalty, I think it's important that you have judges in there that have the experience. I just finished drafting an appeal in Otis McCain, a death penalty case that had over 35 grounds on appeal. Nobody else in this race is capable of doing that at this point. I'm the only one. On day one, I can do this job. None of my other opponents can say that. My personality trait, I have 5 kids. I've lived this life. Allison Fox for Judge, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Thank you.
The candidates for place 9 are John Messinger and Jennifer Alito. John Messinger will be speaking first.
Good evening. I'm John Messinger, running for Court of Criminal Appeals, place 9. Quickly about me, I've been married for 13 years almost. My lovely wife, Carrie. We have 8 children. We have 3 children. They are 8, 6, and 4. That's a big difference. And I'll tell you, if the Court of Criminal Appeals were in better shape, I'd be home with them tonight. Instead, over the last year that I've been in this race, I've traveled almost 20,000 miles. It'll be 20,000 when I get home to Pflugerville this evening. And the reason I'm doing it is because the court is not in good shape. I think that's something most of you don't know. Over the last 5 years, just on a nuts and bolts level, our court, which reviews the 14 courts of appeals decisions and tries to bring harmony and unity to the court to settle disputes so everybody understands what the law should be. The last 4 or 5 years, they found new and interesting ways to reverse convictions. I know because I've been on the front line, I've lost some of these cases. You'll don't understand. 3 years ago, 6 of Republican judges on this court decided that the sworn testimony of a peace officer was not good enough to prove a basic fact, like whether or not a bar owns a parking lot. 2 years ago, 5 Republican judges on this court decided that a child rapist should go free because his indictment had the word child written on the top half of the indictment, but not on the bottom half where they prefer to see it. Let alone that we had a constitutional amendment in Texas 40 years ago to prevent exactly this from happening, and the majority opinion does not discuss it. Now, these opinions are written by people you would like if you talk to them. They are nice people, they are God-fearing people. I have voted for some of them multiple times, but they vote wrong. That's what it comes down to. This is not a everything's okay, let's have somebody nice keep the ball rolling sort of election. And so not only have I been on the front lines at the state prosecuting attorney's office, where for 15 years it has been my job to represent you in front of this court. By statute, our agency, the smallest in Texas, there are 3 people who get to be lawyers in that office at any time. By statute, we represent you in this court. I have more experience in that 15 years before this court than anybody in Texas. You have to petition the court to take your case, something Allison just talked about. I've done 126 of those. Then they give you 30 days to do a brief. I've done between 90 and 100 of those. Then you get oral argument. I've done 26 of those. My opponent has not done any of these. And the bigger problem is this court, even if you liked all the holdings, it takes them 2.5 times as long to do an opinion as it did 10 years ago. That's people sitting around an extra year or two wondering if they're going to have to face their attacker again in a second trial. Sometimes that's a defendant sitting in prison who's going to get out eventually if they get off their rears and get an opinion out. We can't afford to have somebody go into that court who's learning on the job. This court has been my job for 15 years. I've got another 4 years as a prosecutor in Waco. I don't think anybody has ever brought this much experience to the court, and now is the time for it. I really wish it were different. God has blessed me with a fantastic job. I get to work with prosecutors across the state. I would love to do it another 10 years, take my pension and get another job, because I'll be paying for my daughter's college past when I'm dead. But that isn't what we have. God has given me a unique talent and an opportunity, and I'm trying to take it. My name's John Messinger. I'm running for Court of Criminal Appeals.
Good evening. Okay, let's try that one more time. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Belito. I'm a criminal district judge in Dallas County. I was appointed by Governor Abbott to serve that position back in January of last year, and I'm running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been married to my husband for 35 years. We met at Texas Tech Law School. We have 2 daughters. Our oldest went to Texas Tech Law School. She married a guy from Texas Tech Law School. Our younger daughter decided to break the mold and go to Tulane Law School, so we're one of those families that you don't want to go eat dinner with. Anyway, I enjoy my job on the bench, because every single day I get to put on a judicial robe, I walk out into a courtroom and look into the eyes of the people that are facing probably the worst day of their life. Either the victims of crime, their families, the defendants that are charged with a crime, and their families, and I take on the burden to listen to the facts of their cases, and I apply the law as written, and I make a judgment. That is something that separates me from anyone else that is running for the Court of Criminal Appeals this round. I have trial court judicial experience. You can look it up. You can see the way that I run my court. You can see the way that I decide cases. I don't lower bonds. I find people guilty that need to be found guilty. I give them harsh sentences if they deserve it. And if you need a little help, if you've got a drug problem and you're not hurting anybody, then I'm the right person to come to too, because we have a program for that. I have been sitting on the bench for a year this time, and this is the 3rd time I've been appointed by the governor. The first time by Governor Perry, and the second time by Governor Perry, so I have judicial experience. Again, sets me apart from other people in this race and running for the Court of Criminal Appeals. In this race, place 9, I am the law and order choice. Again, I've been endorsed by CLEAT, the Combined Law Enforcement Associations of Texas, the TMPA, the Texas Municipal Police Officers Association, the Houston Police Officers Association, the Dallas Police Association, the Austin Police Association. Law enforcement is behind me. And at a time that our law enforcement officers are under attack like never before, I'm proud that they are standing with me in this race. So let's talk a little bit about what personality trait do I have that qualifies me to sit on this bench. Well, number 1, I have both trial and appellate experience. I was filing answers to writs of habeas corpus on death penalty cases before any of these other people were in law school back in the 90s. Okay, I have filed cases in the Court of Criminal Appeals. I filed appeals in the intermediate courts of appeals. I'm kind of a unicorn that way in criminal law. I have both trial and appellate experience. I have trial and appellate death penalty experience as well. I am qualified to sit on this bench. But my best attribute is I listen. I just don't talk, which is kind of different for a lawyer. So I listen to the cases that come before me, and I do the right thing. My name is Jennifer Belito, and I want to be your next judge on the Court of Criminal Appeals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Group 1. We sincerely appreciate you being here. Group 2, would you take your places? started. The first race we will hear from in Group 2 is member State Board of Education. The Texas State Board of Education helps decide what students learn and how schools are supported. The board sets learning standards and approves textbooks and helps oversee school funding for the Texas public schools. The candidates for District 6 State Board of Education are Tiffany Nelson and Barbara Denson. Barbara, we will begin with you.
I'm Barbara Denson. I am a member of 3 TFRW clubs. I have volunteered with those clubs so much that now that I'm running, I have to admit the support I'm getting is phenomenal. So I really appreciate what you guys do in your organizations. I have a degree, magna cum laude, in engineering. It sounds weird to say that. I've gone my whole life not mentioning that to people, but this is an education position, so I think education matters. I have worked as an engineer, worked in environmental science. I've owned a couple of businesses. My final job was in environmental science, where I was working when they first started talking about green energy and electric vehicles, and I did a deep dive into all of it, found it so complicated, and I kept hearing myself saying somebody needs to simplify this. So I ended up writing a couple of kids' books trying to simplify what a scam the whole climate change thing was, and about wind energy, which is what ultimately led me to running for this position. But I'll continue the other things that I've done. I was the director, I ran Girl Scouting internationally in 2 different countries, and other volunteer work. I was a precinct chair. I had a very large precinct. I had 22 block captains that I recruited to work it because it was so big. I've been a presiding judge, did electioneering meet and greets, all that kind of thing. Anyways, back to the books I wrote led me to giving talks on the subject of the climate change scam, which led me to ultimately finding out that they're actually teaching it in the 8th grade science books. We found that out whenever COVID let us start seeing what's going on, which led me ultimately going to the State Board of Education to try and get it out of the books. And it was just really, we didn't have an advocate for it. We couldn't get anybody really pushing to make the changes in the books. So that was when I decided I was gonna have to run for office, first time in my life to ever do so. But I just couldn't see the kids learning incorrect science any longer. So the 3 things that I am passionate about changing, first is the fundamentals are, I mean, it's clear to everybody the kids aren't learning how to read properly anymore, and the problem is we haven't got our teachers trained again in how to do that. We had an incredible program back in the early 2000s. We were one of the top in the country in reading, and now we're at the bottom, and it's because our legislators decided that it was too expensive a program, and we were so good at reading, what do we need that for? So they're not doing it anymore. Next problem is that the science, changing at the speed of light, and yet the state board every 8 years updates every subject. Well, science is changing at the speed of light, and we should be updating it constantly. And we also, the third thing is we need to be in total communication all the time with the industries that are coming to our state, because we need to have it streamlined so that kids, when they graduate, they've gone through all the right courses, and the people coming in have a workforce that's trained for their needs. Thank you so much. Barbara Denson, State Board of Education, District 6.
And the candidates for State Board of Education District 8 are Audrey Young and George Vicris. Mr. Vicris.
I just want to say something very briefly. Audrey can't be here tonight because she is a member of the State Board of Education and she is at a meeting right now. So I want to make that clear. Be fair to my opponent. So I'm George Brian Vacris. I'm a candidate for the State Board of Education here in District 8. So that includes 11 counties, 56 different school districts, and only about a little less than half of Montgomery County. So I myself, I live in Harris County. For years, I was an engineer on nuclear submarines. So I know a lot about fluid mechanics and about how submarines work, and I know how to turn on the reactor. Probably all I can tell you about. But as a retirement job, I taught for 9 years at the demographically poor high school in Houston, ISD. And it was quite an experience, not like any high school I ever attended, and probably not like any you ever attended. Although that may be not true for some of you. Anyway, I saw the border coming to me. Officially, my high school was listed as 8% immigrant. Well, actually, that's not true. I polled the students in Espanol because I had, by the grace of God, learned Spanish and traveled to Central America on several occasions. In some cases, I visited my students' hometowns because the border came to me. 38% would be a more accurate number because I was asked them. In 2022, I retired from teaching to run for the state senate against John Whitmire. So you all know he is mayor of Houston. So I was the sacrificial Republican candidate in that race and gave the voters a choice. I have been a precinct chair for many years in Harris County, so I knew a lot about that, campaigning, etc. I have spent a lot of time in the state legislature testifying before various committees. I've also testified before the State Board of Education. In November of '24, I did have one success. They were looking at career and technical education courses, which, by the way, I was certified for. I had a special cert because I was alternatively certified. I could teach math, physical science, and engineering technology courses. So there were about 75 different courses I was legally allowed to teach. The State Board, of course, determines what requirements you have to teach courses. Anyway, I testified before the State Board of Education in November of '24. They had a course proposed that was about environmental, I didn't say sustainability. And the course dealt with something that Barbara mentioned before, anthropogenic global warming. Well, I'm actually something of a scientist. I have 3 engineering degrees. I've done a lot of research. This is totally overblown and over-exaggerated. Carbon dioxide is not the major influencer of Earth's climate. The sun is. Just look at what happens in the day and night. It's cooler at night. Summer and winter. It's cooler in winter. Anyway, I got the course pulled. They put a new course in titled Environmental Engineering, which is about solutions to problems like flood control, water supply, and building dams and reservoirs and things like that. The problem with the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills that guide teachers in teaching the course, is a very strong lack of specificity. They need details in there so that teachers know exactly what information the students need to know. There's nothing about diagramming sentences. George Brian Vacris, State Board of Education. Thank you very much.
Our next race is for State Senator, District 4. Texas state senators make state laws and represent their district's voice at the Capitol in Austin. Their decisions affect taxes, education, health care, infrastructure, and everyday life for Texans. Their term is 4 years. The candidates are Charlie Miller and Brett Ligon. Charlie Miller will speak first.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. It is fantastic to see these ladies, Republican women's groups, working together to bring this fantastic crowd in this little small town. Thank you so much to them. Thank you to you for being here. My name is Charlie Miller, and I'm running for State Senate District 4. I want to give a voice to the normal, everyday little guy that's out there working in the small businesses and big businesses alike. I want to be a voice that is unburdened and uninfluenced by any outside thing other than my faith and the voters. I want to be able to go and speak for you. I seek your endorsement, no one else's. no special interest money, none of those things. I want to be a true voice for the voter when I go to Austin. Most of my career, I have learned to do more with less. And I firmly believe that that is a lesson that government should learn. Sometimes it might be a hard lesson that they need to learn, but my goodness, they need to learn. I believe in low taxes, small government, and accountability. I think that everything that we pass, everything that we do in the state legislature should be easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to follow. Therefore, making those rules and laws easy to enforce when necessary. Too many times when you go to look at a ballot, a proposition on the ballot, or you go to try to read a law about something, the normal person picks up that piece of paper and says, I don't know how to understand this. And they have to go find help. That's not the way it should be. Why make it complicated? Let's make it simple for us. We are doing this, we are sending people there to do this job for us. Why are they making things more complicated for us? The question for us tonight is, what made you want to run for the state senate? What are your top priorities? Again, I want to give a voice to the little guy, to the normal, everyday working person that is out working, busting their knuckles, sweating in the summer, freezing in the winter like we all have done lately. I want to give that person a voice and be able to be there and let them see that somebody really has their back. What is the biggest thing that voters talk about? Some of the biggest thing that voters talk about, depending on what part of the district you go to, is traffic, growth, people and traffic, and flooding, and property taxes. People talk about these things every single time I go, whether I'm knocking on doors, or I'm in a forum, or just talking to people in a restaurant because they saw a sign on the back of the truck or a shirt that I had on. These are the things they want to talk about. And I can go and work with other legislatures and work. My name is Charlie Miller, Charlie from Texas.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brett Ligon, and tonight I'm the great unifier. And the reason I say that is every single one of you is thinking one thing, and it's the same thing. This guy looks too young to do this job. But I'm not, I promise you I'm not. I've spent my entire life in law enforcement. For the last 17 years as your district attorney. Now the question that's been asked to me many, many times is, why are you running for Senate District 4? Well, I'm battle born and I'm time tested. And by God, it's time for people from Senate District 4 to have a voice that represents not the little man, not the big man, but every man and every woman in Senate District 4, from Montgomery County all the way down to Bolivar Peninsula. My campaign is built on fiscal responsibility, law enforcement, and accountability. All over the community, people talk to me all the time about strong public safety. I will continue that march for strong public safety. I will make sure that the men and women of law enforcement have a voice for them in Austin. I will make sure that the laws of the state of Texas continue to protect the borders of the state of Texas. I have said previously, every sheriff in the state and every sheriff in the nation is now a border sheriff. If you don't think that's true, then look what's going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you don't think that immigration has gone all over the United States, then you're not watching the TV. The budget for border control right now is $3.8 billion. Before Biden got into office, it was $880 million. That's a $3 billion swing. That is a failed federal policy. The state of Texas should not be required to bail out the federal government. The state of Texas should be having to worry about its own residents and not failed federal policies. I will make sure that the Texas border continues. And lastly, one of the issues I think that resonates on everyone's mind is, what are we going to do about property taxes? What are we going to do about property taxes? What yields real and meaningful relief? The Lieutenant Governor has come out with a plan called the double nickel plan. And yes, once again, I know that I look young, but I am getting closer to retirement every day. That plan is to go from age 65 for the first exemption down to 55 years of age, to increase the exemption from $120,000 to $180,000. That's real meaningful tax relief. And it comes with a budget of $1.8 billion. The state of Texas can afford meaningful relief from school taxes. That's my promises. You get three things out of me: my attention, my effort, and my honesty. The Republican women and the Republican people of Montgomery County and Senate District 4, they don't want Austin's broken promises. They want real solutions by somebody that can deliver those. I'm Brett Ligon, and I ask for your support and your vote. Thank you.
All right, our next race is State Representative District 16. The Texas House of Representatives work and speak for their local district by making laws affecting daily life and how tax dollars are spent. They are elected every 2 years. The candidates are John Boucher and Will Metcalf. Mr. Boucher.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Brett, I assure you no one was thinking that, though. How are we liking this weather for Texas? It's really nice for me to see politicians with their hands in their own pockets for once, so that's good. My name is John Boucher, and I'm a small businessman from here in Montgomery County. I'm running for Texas House District 16. I've been in Texas just a short 40-plus years. My wife Janine and I have been married 38 years in August. We raised our 3 kids here right in Montgomery County, where we spent most of those 40 years. I'm glad you guys passed this thing out to write things down. I think it's really important to fact check your elected officials and make sure they're telling you the truth about things. I think that's really good. I'm running because we need servant leadership in Austin. People who can think critically and put the taxpayers first. And what I was thinking of, when I was thinking about what to say tonight to you guys in 3 brief minutes, I remembered this movie. It was called Groundhog Day. You remember that, 1993? It was a good movie. It was a funny movie. And it reminded me a lot of Texas politics. Because every campaign season, politicians stand before you and they tell you, I'm going to reduce property taxes. I'm going to secure the border. I'm going to fix education. We're going to have election integrity. We're going to do all those things. And then they go to Austin and not a whole lot happens. And you know that's true. Because when you open your tax bill, it's higher. When you go to an emergency room, it's full of illegals in there with uncompensated medical care that, trust me, you're paying for. Your classrooms are packed with illegals that eat up billions of dollars, which again, you're paying for. Now, why is that so? How can that happen? We work so hard, we donate, we get people to the polls, we vote Republican, we send the vast majority of House members are Republican, we get a Republican governor, a Republican lieutenant governor, 2/3 of the Senate are Republican. Why does that happen? Well, it happens because a small, power-hungry group of people, for about the last 9 sessions, figured out that they can wield power in Austin by undermining the Republican caucus and going down the hall and working with the Democrats and striking deals. This last legislative session, we had an Obama White House lawyer write the House rules. We gave Democrats an extra $3 million+ to hire more leftists to haunt the halls and hallways in Austin. We gave vice chairs so much power they might as well have been chairs. And then we were told the entire time this is the most conservative legislative session ever. That's not how you get the most conservative legislative session ever. We work hard to elect Republicans. I want to run because I am a servant leader. If you elect me, I will end the practice of trading votes for endorsements and other favors. I think that's wrong. It's highly unethical. So I ask for your support. My name is John Boucher, and I'm running for Texas House District 16. God bless you.
My name is Will Metcalf. I am your state representative for House District 16. It's been the honor of my life to serve you and your constituents and your families in the Texas legislature. First, I want to thank the Republican Women's Group for hosting this tonight. I want to recognize my wife for being here tonight and my family. Thank you for your support and love. Also, I want to recognize Lauren, who's in the back at our table. Also, many of you know Sarah Henry, who works for us. She is ill right now. She's pregnant. Please pray for her and her family. She's doing much better. Let me tell you what, folks. This was a jab at me. It's not only a jab at me, but a jab at each and every one of you, what he just said. He and his allies have been attacking me for over a year about who to vote for Speaker of the Texas House. They wanted me to vote for, demanded that I vote for the leader of our Texas House, who, as mayor, banned fracking in his city, raised taxes on his citizens, praised the Obama stimulus package, attacked our Texas Oil and Gas Association. We're all oil and gas people here in this room, correct? Yeah. That's what I thought. That's who they wanted me to elect as our leader of the Texas House. I have the receipts to prove it of their candidate stands for all that. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I've got the receipts to prove it. But I stood firm on who I elected as the leader of the Texas House. I'm endorsed by President Donald Trump, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senator Ted Cruz. The list goes on and on and on. I'm grateful for the endorsements in this room, locally, throughout our county. I have brought you the largest tax cut in the United States history. Session before last, we were at a deadlock on what to do for property tax relief and reform. I got tapped to be the lead negotiator in the Texas House, and I delivered for each and every one of you. $15 billion in property tax relief. Also reform. For the first time in our state's history, we have 3 elected board members at the appraisal district board of directors. Call them, talk to them. You have an open door policy with them. $51 billion of our state budget this session is dedicated to property tax relief. That's 15% of our state budget. More than most states' budgets that we know of. It is an honor and a privilege to serve this community. I'm 6th generation resident here in Montgomery County. I love this community just like each and every one of you. This is why our slogan is, make lying wrong again. My opponent and his allies have been lying about me for over a year. Stand up to these people. Elect Scott Baker as county chair and good precinct chairs throughout Montgomery County.
The next race is District Judge of the 359th Judicial District. Montgomery County District Court judges preside over serious felony criminal cases. They oversee jury trials, ensuring jurors follow the law and rule on evidence and legal motions. The judge's role is not to make laws, but to apply the law fairly, consistently, and without bias. The candidates are Michael Gutzman and Joanne Linzer. Mr. Gutzman will be our first speaker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Gutzman. I am your major crimes chief at the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. I am board certified in criminal law, and I am running to be your next judge of the 359th District Court. I graduated from Montgomery High School. I continued my education at Texas A&M University. It was so nice I graduated twice. It was at Texas A&M that I met my wife, Brittany Gutzman, who is, if you don't know her, by the way, more conservative than me, better looking than me, and smarter than me. She's at home right now with my 5 children. Allison Fox, I don't know where you are, but we can debate whether or not my computer when we go outside. But I've got 5 kids in this community. We live right here from 7 to 7 months. After Texas A&M, I continued my education at the University of Houston, and it is after that that I started my career at the Harris County District Attorney's Office. Now, why am I telling you about that? I was hired by a Republican in Harris County. I stayed through the Ogg administration. I have seen firsthand what happens when bad judges take over and when the wheels come off the bus. We do not need that in Montgomery County. That has left a scar on my heart that has absolutely impacted my decision to run for this bench to make sure that it never happens here. In 2017, I was given a tremendous opportunity, though. I was given an opportunity to come back home and work at the district attorney's office for Brett Ligon. I have learned firsthand what it looks like to be a part of a bad criminal justice system, and I have seen and developed and learned firsthand what it looks like to do the job right. We need judges at the courthouse that will rule with compassion, integrity, and fairness in every decision that's made. And let me tell you what isn't a prerequisite to be a district court judge, and that's to have been a defense attorney. As a matter of fact, one of the best judges at the courthouse, Phil Brandt, never been a defense attorney. The presiding judge and our longest serving judge in the 359, Kathleen Hamilton, has never been a defense attorney. As your major crime chief at the DA's office, I handle some of the worst offenders that we see in the county. I prosecute fentanyl murders. I do all the proactive narcotics work. I have managed the confidential sources and started that program at the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. I also handle organized crime and gang work. Over the course of the last 7 years in this county, twice I have tried the most felony cases, and the third time I came in second. I have the experience. Let me tell you what I also have is I have commitment. No one in this race is more committed to making sure that the backlog in the 359th is clear. I have no integrity issues, and I am absolutely committed to making sure that we protect and preserve the law in Montgomery County. Law enforcement supports me. I have the endorsement from the Houston Police Officers Union, the Montgomery County Law Enforcement Association, the 28,000 members of the combined law enforcement associations from Texas, and practically all the police chiefs. I am Michael Gutzman. I'm your candidate for the 359.
Good evening, and thank you so much to the Republican women for hosting us here tonight. I am a proud Republican woman, and I'm privileged to have grown up in Montgomery County. Montgomery County is where I met my husband. Montgomery County is where I got baptized. Montgomery County is where I raised my son. Montgomery County is where my grandkids are being raised. This county means very, very much to me, and in order to best serve this county, I'm running to be judge of the 359th District Court. And you might say, well, how does that best serve the county? Well, I can tell you. It's because I have the experience to do the job starting day one. I have been in criminal law for 24 years. I know I may not look like it, but I have 14 years experience more than my opponent, which just goes to show you that courtroom adrenaline and caffeine is good for the skin. I have tried over 120 jury trials, and I can tell you that doing that has allowed me the experience to be in front of judges who did an incredibly good job, and to learn from those judges. But I also got the experience of being in front of judges that did a very bad job. And I saw what happens to our courts when cases go up on appeal, and how our victims have to wait in limbo for the courts of appeals to determine what the next step will be, whether that case has to come back. And it hits the taxpayers too. Judge Hamilton, when she leaves that bench, is taking years of experience with her. I'm the only candidate that has the experience to start day one. I've been board certified in criminal law for more than a decade. I have trained prosecutors. I have managed people. I have led offices as a district attorney. I've been a prosecutor and I have been a defense lawyer, and I believe that defense lawyer brings experience so that I know every aspect of the courtroom. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the scales are the symbol of justice for a reason. We need balance. And balance is what I offer. I know every side of the courtroom. I was the chief under Brett Ligon of the 359th District Court. The very court that I'm running for. And I know how to run that court because I've worked in it. I know it from the inside out. The qualities that I bring to the bench are fairness, integrity, and experience. Because experience matters. I will ensure that every person is treated fairly in the courtroom because I'm a Christian and I understand that we treat others the way that we want to be treated. And as far as my temperament, I can tell you right now, I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not going in there with the role of a prosecutor. There's a place for that, and it's in the district attorney's office with my colleague. I'm going in there to be the judge, to be fair, and to run the 359th District Court for you. Thank you so much.
All right, group 2, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep the momentum going. Our next race is for county judge. The county judge is the CEO of Montgomery County, responsible for leading county government by presiding over commissioners' court, county operations and emergency management, and how tax dollars are spent. The candidates are Mark Keogh and Wayne Mack. Mr. Keogh?
Thank you all for being here this evening, and so again, what a great crowd that is here tonight. Absolutely fantastic. I'm here tonight. I want to also thank you all. So many of you know about my bride, who had a very serious accident. She broke her leg. She was in the hospital for a month. You know what? And I've been taking care of her. You'd be so proud of me, ladies. I've learned how to do all the things that I thought I knew how to do and had to relearn. It's been great that she's here with me. Kim, stand up so everybody can see you. I love you guys. Thank you. You know, when I had the opportunity to think about being the county judge, I thought to myself, what are the things that I can work on, that I can change, that will make significant difference in this county? First thing was, I thought, as I saw what was going on in the county, I said the first thing we need to do is we need to have a stable government. Because of things that were going on at that time, we had businesses that would not come here, or there was conflicts that were existing that caused them to pause before they decided to come. We have today, I can safely say, we have the most significant, the most stable, and the most unified court that we've had in the history of this county. And it's absolutely a pleasure to work with all of them. And one of them is right here with us today, Commissioner Charlie Riley. Second thing I knew we needed to work on was taxes and tax reform and fiscal responsibility. Let me tell you, when we did that, I thought, what are the issues with the taxes? Because all there really is with the taxes is the tax rate versus the appraisals. Well, this appraisal issue is an issue for those involved with the state. I have no control over that, but I do have control over what we do in terms of the tax rate. So we got together, we came up with our budget, and you realize that we have dropped the rate to compensate for the increase in the appraisals. And as Judge Barb Sadler told me, the first time in the history of this county, we got to the new revenue rate. That is, as the appraisals went up, we dropped the taxes rate to compensate for that. And you know we've done that for 5 budget cycles. Unbelievable what has taken place. First time in the history of the county. Another thing that we did was in favor of law enforcement. We are very much in favor of our law enforcement. We've involved in pay parity that will keep our people from being moved somewhere else, possibly Harris County or somewhere else, because they have a better pay plan. We have worked with our law enforcement, our sheriff's office. I have been endorsed by the sheriff. I have been endorsed by former Sheriff Joe Corley. I have been endorsed by a number of former sheriffs, and I have our constable right here, who has also endorsed me in the very district that my client is in. We are here. Thank y'all for being here. I'm Mark Hill. I'm the Montgomery County Judge. I'm the only one with proven CEO experience. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, ladies, for being here. We appreciate that, and I can't help but think, being a lifelong Republican and being a precinct chair and being with my three clubs, that Dr. Wall would be so proud of this crowd today. And I'm just honored to be here today. I've spent 40 years serving you, and I started out as a janitor in the basement of the same courthouse that now calls me judge. And I want to tell you that what you being here tonight is important. There are a lot of voters that are not going to take the time to do what you're doing here tonight. And I want to tell you that the reason I'm running for this position is because I'm okay with politics. Some of us don't like the word poly, meaning many, ticks meaning blood-sucking things. And I've learned this week some things in social media that I didn't even know about myself. That was pretty cool. I want you to know about what you do what you're going to do in searching for candidates in this race. What you need to do is by your fruits you shall know them. I'm not running for power. I'm not running because I think I need a title. I've been working for the county for 40 years. I've never asked for a raise. I've never asked for promotion. All those things have come to me because I've worked where I was planted and as unto the Lord. One of the biggest core problems that we have here in the question that's been provided to us is that our growth, we haven't kept up with our growth. We need a new courthouse. We need a new jail. Our facilities, we've had 5 facility studies and nothing has happened in the last years with that except for the leadership of Charlie Riley when he built the new forensic center. 2032, we're estimated to be at 2032, we'll be at 1 million population. So we've got to make the priorities the next 4 years of fixing the problems and having a vision for what we need to do. We can't keep having study after study after study. And I appreciate that the tax rate has been lowered, but none of our taxes have gone down. None of us. And so we've got to have a steward-minded and a servant-minded leadership here. We need to balance the fact that the safety issues and having a CEO mindset, not reacting to politics as usual. We can't keep kicking the can down the road, and that's why leadership matters. Accountability matters, efficiency matters, integrity matters. I want you to do your research. Google the candidates that are here. YouTube search the candidates here. There's a distinct difference. Montgomery County, for a whole lot of reasons you've heard tonight, is on the ballot. And so you need to get informed, you need to get engaged, and you need to get out and people vote. It matters. It matters that you vote. And leadership matters. And the question about leadership style, I'm a servant. I'm a servant. I'm not looking for anything but to serve you, and the only endorsement I want is you.
Recycling centers. The Commissioners Court is the governing body of the county and has the power to set most budget expenditures. The candidates are Charlie Riley and Bob Harvey. Charlie Riley will be our first speaker.
Well, I'm going to thank the Republican Leaders Club here tonight that's putting this on, but I want to thank all the Republican clubs throughout Montgomery County. There's somebody else that I want to thank. Montgomery County employees that worked this weekend to keep the roads open. Fantastic job. Why am I running? I'm in my 3rd term. Precinct 2 is operating better than it ever has before. We're getting more done than anybody before us has ever done. Some young folks might say, we're killing it in Precinct 2. Priorities. Everything in Precinct 2 we do is a priority. Of course, keeping the tax rate and the taxes as low as we can is high on the list. But in 2025, we asked the voters to approve a road bond for us, and they did that. Precinct 2 has 19 jobs, road jobs, on that road fund. We've already completed 5 of them, and 4 of them are underway. So we are doing what we said we were going to. You give us the money, we're going to improve the roads. We've done that. One of the roads that's not on the road fund that quickly comes to the top is Old Conroe Road. It was under the jurisdiction and under the control of Conroe. City of Conroe decided they couldn't do the project after all. They want to transfer it to us. On the 29th in court with Commissioner Sports blessing, we will get that road under our authority, Precinct 2. Thursday afternoon on the 29th, we'll start working on Old Conroe Road again. It's not an easy thing to do. But you have to work with these developers. They have to follow the new guidelines that we have redone our new rules and regulations for our subdivisions in 2025. You make these developers do these new developments through our guidelines that we all put together, criteria, drainage criteria, and subdivision rules, so they do no harm to the established developments that are already here. That is a must. How do you approach taxes and spending? Y'all notice I'm actually answering these questions. Every year, we sit down with all of our department heads, all of our employees, we figure out what they need, not what they want, what they need. And we put that together, we figure out how much money that's gonna take. We try to set the tax rate to do that. If we can't get the tax rate where we want it, as low as that, and fund all this stuff, with all of the positions, then we have to go back and we have to cut somewhere. We will cut what we have to get the tax rate we want, to get to the budget we need, and we make Montgomery County the great county that it is right now today, and we're going to continue to do that. And Precinct 2 is leading the way. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Bob Harvey, and I'd like to thank the Republican Women for putting this on for everybody here coming out tonight and participating in this. Would like to say one thing to Judge Keogh. You haven't worked with me yet. All right, a little bit about myself. I've got 42 years of oil and gas experience. I started out on the rigs, I ended up in the C-suite, and I ended up on the board of 8 companies in doing so. My background in contracts, I've got 25 years of contract, that's negotiation, enforcement, review, and bidding, and also extensions. I've been, logistically wise, I have spent, I've been responsible for 1/3 of the world's supply chain for Halliburton. And that was $750 million worth of assets, and I had a $5 million signatory. I was trusted by some of the biggest companies in the world to go in and turn around their operations. And that was in foreign countries where we had both the national laws of the country and the United States. The questions that we have tonight are: why are you running? What are your top 3 priorities of Precinct 2? How will you manage growth while protecting neighborhoods? And how do you approach tax and county spending? Why am I running? I'm running to bring proven strategic leadership to Precinct 2. An operational experience and public service. After decades of leading complex organizations, I want to ensure sound governance, fiscal discipline, and long-term planning that is responsibly moves Precinct 2 forward, and Montgomery County forward as well for the residents of today and future generations. What would be my top priorities? Accountability and transparency. When I went into a country, the first thing that I did is have forensic financial audits, find out where the money went. Then we would do compliance and ethical audits to find out where it went. Then I would do contract management reviews and make sure all of the contracts that we had with customers like ExxonMobil and that suppliers had to us, be able to review all of that. On Precinct 2, being prepared for the development and growth that takes place over there. Growth strategically, not reactively. I support deliberate data and community-driven analysis. Planning that aligns infrastructure, public safety, and utilities with long needs through disciplined budgeting. That's it. All right. I'm Bob Harvey. I'm running for Precinct 2 County Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Our next race is Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Justices of the peace are often the first point of contact people have with the court system. They preside over small claims and civil cases, handle landlord-tenant cases, hear misdemeanor cases, and perform marriages. The candidates are Brian Luley, Scott Carson, and William Wagner. Mr. Luley.
Good evening, thank you for being here tonight. The Women's Republican Group, thank you for hosting us. I know this is a hard event to host and time. With that, I'm Brian Lula, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1. Sorry about that. A little bit about myself. I'm a Christian man. I'm a family man. I'm married to a wonderful woman who's a school teacher. God bless her soul. I have 2 amazing children that are in the school system. So I know how important it is for truancy and kids for being in school. My experience. I have 15 years of law enforcement experience. I rose to the rank of captain, where I helped create the crisis intervention team. I oversaw the mental health division, and I also was the captain over the civil division, which works hand in hand with the Justice of the Peace courts. Oversaw the courts, whether it was courtroom security, whether it was serving civil citation, or whether it was serving out the court orders. I was there doing that. I assisted those. I oversaw the men and women who did that. When elected as your Justice of the Peace, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be consistent. I want to treat everybody with dignity and respect as they should be. I'll have an open door policy, whereas an elected official, you'll be able to come and talk to that person as it should be. The courtroom needs to be run efficiently. You need to be transparent. I know when you come to the courtroom, you don't want to spend your time all day there waiting for the courtroom. So efficiency is the first thing that needs to make sure that you have an order. Sorry, I lose my face. As far as the courtroom, it needs to be equal and fair. It needs to, both parties need to have plenty of time to understand and be spoken in plain English. You don't need lawyers in there. That's what makes it the people's court. And that's what I like about the JP office. I've been dealing with that as a law enforcement officer for over 15 years. You want to help people. You want to make sure that people, when they come to that courtroom, that they're comfortable, they can speak freely, and have time to hear the cases. And with that, you're going to have to make sure that you have proper staffing for that. You're going to have to make sure you have enough time for each case, and you may have to have more court dates, so you can hear every case efficiently. I generally have 4 words of wisdom that I live by, and that's learn, try, stay, and care. First one is learn. You have to always want to learn something new. You have to always educate yourself. 2, you have to try. You don't have to be great at it, but you always have to try new things to be great enough to try. 3 is to be your care. You have to care about people. You have to care about the community. You have to care to make sure this is a better community for everybody. I guess I'm out of time, but I'm Brian Luley, and this is the Peace Precinct.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Carson. I'm a lifelong resident here in Precinct 1, Montgomery County. I live by 3 tenets: God, family, business. Lifelong Christian conservative. I was raised right here in Montgomery County on biblical principles and values. Values we hold near and dear right here in Montgomery County, right here in Precinct 1. My family and I have been here over 45 years. I've been here. I went to school here my whole life, kindergarten to 12th grade. Graduated high school here in Willis, Texas, and I currently serve on the Willis Independent School District as a school board member. As far as my professional career, my background, my experiences, I have 20 years of public service experience in various different roles, from corrections officer to law enforcement officer to working for the federal government, the postal system. I feel like those roles, individually combined, have prepared me for this role of justice of the peace. I liken justice of the peace as it's a ball field, and I'm the umpire on the ball field, and you have two teams. You have the defendant and you get the plaintiff. And as an umpire for the justice of the peace, I'm going to call real balls and strikes. We'll take each case, each case that comes to the courtroom, on a case-by-case scenario, listen to the totality of the circumstances, and make a fair judgment that will be equitable for everybody who comes to the courtroom will feel like they've been heard, and they feel like they've gotten a fair judgment in their case. As far as the JP courts, be very busy in how I will balance efficiency and giving each case proper attention. 90% of people's first interaction in the judicial court in the state of Texas is going to be through a justice of the peace court. Most likely when they're young. I've only had one speeding ticket my entire life when I was a senior in high school. I was held accountable for those actions, and I had to go see the justice of the peace court. Our judge back then was Judge John Klein. The man held me accountable. He put the fear of God in me, but he also showed me grace. The lesson was learned. So I feel like as far as efficiency goes, once I'm elected as your next Justice of the Peace, I will be coordinating with my team in that office first and foremost, taking in their input to see how we can best serve our community, and that role, taking the input from them first. After all, JP1 court is the gold standard in Montgomery County as far as JP courts go. I've heard that from multiple justices of the peace in our county that I've communicated with so far. I've met with 4 out of the 5 JPs and constables in our county, and that's what they told me, that anytime that there's an issue, they reference JP1 court and their staff as well there. So before my time is up, I would just like to tell y'all that tomorrow night I am hosting an event here. I'm having a fundraiser event in this very building that is hosted by Constable Cash, Sheriff Doolittle, Sheriff Gage, and Sheriff Corley, who have endorsed me right here in this building for my fundraiser. I would appreciate if everybody would come out tomorrow and support our campaign. Scott Carson for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge William Wagner. I am running to serve as your Justice of the Peace in Precinct 1. I'm not just asking for the job, I'm currently doing the job. For the last 4 years, I've had the honor to serve as your municipal judge for the city of Conroe. I also continue to serve our country as a platoon sergeant in the Army Reserves, now in my 17th year of service. My life has been defined by a commitment to service. From my time in the Marine Corps, Texas A&M, and the United States Army, and now here in my hometown community. I'm raising my 3 daughters here in the community I grew up in. So the strength of this community is important to me. I'm running to ensure that we have stability in our court, consistent, accountable justice for everyone. My experience is best defined by the numbers. During my time on the bench, I've presided over 60,000 cases. We didn't just move the cases, we solved problems. In my first term, we reduced the inactive backlog by 28% and the active caseload by 12%. I don't need to guess how to run the court efficiently, I've already done it. I'm currently the only one to have a track record to prove it, and I'm ready to bring that same steady experience judgment to Precinct 1. A busy court cannot be a slow court. We achieve those reductions by keeping pace with every new filing, creating no backlog. But ultimately, efficiency isn't just about speed, it's about getting the right results. My philosophy is correction over revenue. We utilize driver safety courses to purchase positions focus on behavior changes rather than just generating revenue. That's how you balance efficiency with justice, resolving the underlying problems so the defendant doesn't have to return. In this court, fairness means looking at the whole picture. My platform focuses heavily on juvenile intervention and mental health. Fairness means spotting the difference between a criminal and a kid making a mistake. It means addressing truancy and family instability before they become serious problems. It means collaborating with law enforcement and mental health professionals to better serve families in crisis. Many people come to the justice of the peace court without legal representation. I believe in plain language and clear procedures. Whether you're a lawyer or representing yourself, you will be treated with dignity. My goal is a stronger and safer community. I've spent my life serving this country and now this community. I ask for your vote to continue that work as your justice of the peace. Judge William Wagner, thank you.
Our next race is for Republican Party County Chairman. The county chair is the top elected leader of the Montgomery County Republican Party, responsible for building a strong, organized, and effective local party. Core responsibilities include working with precinct chairs and volunteers, supporting Republican candidates, overseeing party operations, and helping drive voter turnout. The chair presides at meetings of the executive committee and serves as a source of information for local candidates. The candidates are Gwen Withrow and Scott Baker. Ms. Withrow will be our first speaker tonight.
Hello there. I am your current county chairman for the Republican Party. I was the CFO for a 2-year college for some 20-something years, which gave me administrative duties over a 2-year college, which is like a small city. So I use those skills to help I use those skills to bring the party together. If you remember, the party was totally split, with part of the precinct chairs meeting in one place and part of the precinct chairs meeting in another. There were lawsuits against different parties of that. The precinct chairs were sued. So I gave up my retirement when I came here to Montgomery County to use those administrative skills to help bring the party together. I am the only candidate up here before you today that can bring the party together and hold it together, as I will be using Robert's Rules of Order. I will be using the party bylaws and the state bylaws, following those rules, which will help keep the precinct chairs in line and following the rules, and everyone will feel that this is fair. So I want to say, please do not let the party split. Montgomery County is too important of a county. Ask the state candidates. They need us to all be together, working together to produce the votes, to bring the state candidates together, to bring them home, to make them win for the state races. So I am asking for your vote to re-elect me as the county chairman for the Republican Party. Let's see, those other votes, the other thing, okay.
much money that we have earned. As a matter of fact, I've earned more money than the last 6 years was earned by the Republican Party. So we're going into the fall with a large amount of money, and I'm asking that you allow me to use that money to bring the party together. Thank you.
Hello, I am Scott Baker, and a lot of you are happy to see me because I'm running. A lot of you are happy to see me because I'm last tonight. It's the truth. What a great event this is. It's so great for y'all to be out here. I want to thank you so much for being out here. I'm supposed to describe why I believe I'm the best candidate for this position. Well, I do believe I'm the best candidate. For one, I'm Christian, husband, father. My daughter was one of the ones that did the pledges up here with the American Heritage Girls. Between my wife and I, we have 6 kids. Yeah, you heard 6. A little crazy. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I'm a worship leader at my church and an elder on the board there. I've got a degree in biology and chemistry as a pre-med biotech degree. So I know lots of stuff about crazy stuff, mostly about data and how to analyze it and go through it. It's part of this job, studying the data, seeing where we're being weak, where we're strong, and helping correct the problems, right? I've been a volunteer in the party for 20 years in this party, Montgomery County. I grew up in Clear Lake. My dad's sitting right over there. My mom and dad are here. They moved up here in '94, I think. But I grew up in Clear Lake, and my dad was a precinct chair down there and became a precinct chair up here. I've been a precinct chair since 2010. I've been on committees, led committees for the Republican Party. With Holly Arbuckle over there, we led the Teenage Republicans, something we don't have anymore. Curious omission. I've also worked with the Young Republicans. The predecessors for this office focused on outreach, reaching new voters. For the first time in 20 years, we're falling behind on that number. I'm running because it's important that we recruit people to be Republicans. You know we're growing like crazy. 470,000 voters just in a few months here. 1 million voters in the next 10 years. We have to stay on top of that. And you know what? All of that data is really cool and important and everything. But behind all that data are people, are voters, you. And that's the main reason I threw my hat in this, to run. Because right now, you're being shut out, and most of you don't even know it. Will talked about his opponent. My opponent and Will's opponent worked for the last year to kick him out of office, to try and kick him off the ballot, to try and marginalize his achievements in the Texas House, and shut the voters out. I think that's wrong. This should be up to the voters. If you want to... That's why my sign says, let the voters decide. Because you should be in the driver's seat, not the county chairman, not 50 people in a back room in precinct chairs. You. That's what I'm running for. I have all the receipts, just like Will does. I love Dan Bongino. He says, I have the receipts. I have the receipts for all of the stuff that she's been doing, trying to shut you out. I'm Scott Baker. Please elect me to be your next county chair.
Thank you, candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, the state Republican Convention is in Houston this year, June 11th through 13th. To become a delegate to the state convention,